So he wants to hear it very quickly. And yet it is not possible that if you want to hear also you will be able to hear. So when Banquo and fiancé are moving in the castle, light lit castle, and suddenly in the darkened hall, Macbeth has a vision of a dagger floating in the air before him, its handle pointing towards his hand, and its tips aiming him towards Duncan. It is in Act 2, Scene 1. He becomes perplexed. What has happened? Macbeth tries to grasp the weapon and fails. He wonders whether what he sees is real of a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat of his brain. So, continuing to gaze upon the dagger, he thinks he sees blood on the blade, then abruptly decides that the vision is just a manifestation of his uneasiness over killing Duncan. The night around him seems thick with horror and witchcraft, but Macbeth stiffens and resolves to do his bloody duty. At that time, a bell tolls, Lady Macbeth's signal, which had already told Macbeth that he should be giving him, that the chamberlains are asleep. That means the maids inside the room of the king, and Macbeth strides to his Duncan chamber. So you see that the impression or the intention of murder is already complete. We find in Act 2, Scene 2, with all great Neptune's ocean washed this blood, clean from my hand. No, this is my hand, will gather the multitudinous seas in Carnadine, making the green one red. This is an important quotation. This dagger actually creates an illusion in him that he's going to murder somebody. And that is the dagger is pointing to Duncan's chamber. So as Macbeth leaves the hall, Lady Macbeth enters, remarking on her boldness. She imagines that Macbeth is killing the king even as she speaks. Hearing Macbeth cry out, she worries that the chamberlains in the room of the king, Duncan, were sleeping or on guard. She says that she cannot understand how Macbeth could fail. She had prepared the daggers for the chamberlains herself. She asserted that she would have killed the king herself then and there had he not resembled her father. So it is the resemblance of her father's face in the king's face that prevails upon killing the king. And she asks Macbeth to do it. She knows that Macbeth is a general. In many battles, he has killed many enemies. To kill a king will not shake his hand. So Macbeth emerges, his hands covered in blood, and says that the deed is done. Badly shaken, he remarks that he heard the chamberlains awake and say their prayer before going back to sleep. When they said Amen, he tried to say it with them, but found that the words stuck in his throat. He adds that as he killed the king, he thought he heard a voice cry out, sleep no more, Macbeth murder sleep. This is his illusion, hallucination. When you're not in the habit of doing something bad, but all of a sudden this habit dawns on you. That time you start thinking in such manner. Lady Macbeth at first tries to steady her husband, but she becomes angry when she notices that he has forgotten to leave the daggers with the sleeping chamberlains so as to frame them for Duncan's murder. In those days, forensic was not done to catch the real murder. It was all circumstantial evidence that pointed to the real murderer. He refuses to go back into the room, so she takes the dagger into the room herself, saying that she'd be ashamed to be as cowardly as Macbeth. You can hear me what I'm saying? So as she leaves, Macbeth hears a mysterious knocking. The portentous sound frightens him, and he asks desperately, "Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand?" That means he has already murdered King Duncan with the dagger scene. It had already occurred or happened. Now he thinks that the king had so much of blood that even Neptune's ocean, the god of ocean is Neptune, will not be able to clean his hand. So as Lady Macbeth re-enters the hall, the knocking comes again and then a third time. She leads the husband back to the bedchamber where he can wash off the blood. A little water clears up this deed. What a foolish man you are, she tells him. How easy it is then to kill and wash the hand. Now, after this, as we proceed with Act 2, Scene 2, actually Banquo's knowledge of the witch's prophecy makes him both a potential ally, a friend, and a potential threat to Macbeth's plotting. Banquo understands very well that Macbeth would now plot to kill the king, and also plot to kill him because the witches have said that he will not be the king, but his sons will be the king. For now, Macbeth seems distrustful of Banquo and pretends to have hardly thought of the witches. But Macbeth's desire to discuss the prophecies of at some true future time suggests that he might have some sort of conspiratorial plans in the mind. The appearance of Fiancé, Banquo's son, serves as a reminder of the witches. Fiancé is still alive. Prediction that Banquo's children will sit on the throne. If Fiancé is alive, Banquo's children is alive, son is alive. So we realize the murder of Duncan. He will be driven to still more violence before his crown is secure, and Fleance will be in immediate and mortal danger. So you see that Act 2 is singularly concerned with the murder of Duncan, but Shakespeare here relies on a technique that he uses throughout Macbeth to help sustain the play's incredibly rapid tempo of development. In addition, we see the scenes leading up to the murder and the scenes immediately following it, but the deed itself does not appear on stage. So Duncan's bedchamber becomes a sort of hidden sanctum into which the characters disappear and from which they emerge powerfully changed. Because they perform the deed, the murder of Duncan has been done. So this technique of not allowing us to see the actual murder, which persists throughout Macbeth, may have been borrowed from the classical Greek tragedies of Aeschylus and Sophocles. So in these plays, violent acts abound, but are kept off stage, made to see them more terrible with the power of suggestion. So the effect of Lady Macbeth of a trip into Duncan's bedroom is particularly striking. She claims that she would have killed Duncan herself, except that he resembled the father sleeping. This is the first time Lady Macbeth shows comparison of Duncan to her father, suggests that despite a desire for power and a harsh chastisement for Macbeth, she sees her king as an authority figure to whom she must be loyal. So this loyalty, how far true or false is another question. But Macbeth's repetition about the murder is echoed by several portentous sound visions. The famous hallucinatory dagger before him being the most striking. The dagger is the first in a series of guilt-inspired hallucinations. This is an important question set in your university. You'll get the answer. But you must know the story also that Macbeth and his wife experiences. The murder is also marked by the ringing of the bell as the queen had promised and the knocking of the gate because outside the gate was waiting the nobles who have come to meet Duncan. They were knocking at the gate. So the knocking occurs 4 times, the sort of ritualistic regularity. It conveys a heavy sense of the inevitable, as if gate must be eventually open to admit doom. Doom of whom? Of the great king. The knocking seems particularly ironic after we realize that Macbeth, who kills Macbeth at the end of the play, is its source. So Macbeth's eventual death does indeed stand embodied at the gate. So you see that there is death everywhere and Macbeth is everywhere. Motive of blood established in the accounts of Macbeth and Banquo's battlefield exploits recurs here in Macbeth's anguished sense that there is blood on his hands that cannot be washed clean, blood of Duncan, whom he has murdered. For now, Lady Macbeth remains the voice of the calculating reason, as she tells him that the blood can be washed away with a little water. But as Lady Macbeth eventually realizes the guilt that the blood symbolizes needs more than water to be cleansed away. She knows it very well that murdering a person you just cannot get away. Water will not wash your hands of the blood of the person that you have murdered deliberately with a cool headed brain. Her hallucination later in the play, in which she wishes her hands obsessively, lend irony to her inheritance here, that a little water clears us up this deed. Murder cannot be cleared with little water. At least I don't know of any such incident that you can clear a murder with a very cool head and yet escape. No, it is not possible. At least for my thinking, it is not possible. So this is what was written in Act 1, Act 2. The story of Act 1, Act 2, there are many more stories into it, many more questions that will be asked to you for your examination purpose. But I've just told you the story to make you aware of the fact of what we are going to do further. We have finished 2 acts out of the 4 acts today because it had to be done very quickly. So the rest 2 acts we do it the next day or today. We're going to do it today or next day. You tell me very frankly, huh? Because even I need